This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Best Quality Vacuum, our show about the Vince Gilliverse, Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul.
Yeah, and we're rounding out season 1 with episode 7, a no rough stuff type deal, which was written by Peter Gould and directed by Tim Hunter and originally aired on March 9th of 2008.
Yeah, a couple important things about that. Yeah. The first episode written by Peter Gould, who would go on to be very instrumental in Better Call Saul.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, his first episode of TV written at all.
Yeah.
This guy. And then this is less important. Name of this, I found out was a Fargo reference.
Yeah, not a very memorable line from a movie with a lot of memorable lines.
Yeah. Also, this is the season finale, as we mentioned. Wasn't meant to be.
No.
Yeah.
The writer's strike made season 1 weird. I think definitely by shunting stuff into season 2 and giving them more time, probably helped them find their footing better in season 2, as opposed to continuing with the weird energy that season 1 has. And also, we saved Jesse. Yay! The labor movement saved
hooray.
Jesse.
Yes. Thank a union. Like Jesse? Thank a union. And I do like Jesse.
Yes.
As such, this ends up being only barely kind of a climactic episode. It's mostly Walt and Jesse getting a little deeper with Tuco and having to create enough meth. It becomes a problem with scale. Walt's ego and his goal demands they make more and more meth, so they have to figure that out.
So it's very funny. They went with Tuco because they had they were not able to move enough volume, and now that they're with Tuco, they need to produce more. They don't need to. Walt's personality defects mean that he has to produce more. Yeah.
Yes. Also, Marie Hounds, good news for you.
Ooh, yeah. No, this is the real good stuff. This is what I'm tuning in for.
Yeah, the Purple Rain crew takes over again as the Marie shoplifting plot goes into full bloom. We are nonstop shoplifting. We're talking about crimes of all stripes. We're going to dissolve people in acid. We're also going to steal shoes, and both are going to be treated with the same amount of screen real estate.
See, the thing is, she left a store with something, but she didn't pay for it.
Oh, and if you think this is going to pay off, stay tuned because we'd like you to keep listening to the show.
Please.
Yeah. Regardless of whether you think this is going to pay off.
Two unrelated thoughts in the same sentence.
Yeah. I was changing the subject, baby.
There's some key aesthetic introductions here. We get the pork pie hat. It's a lie. Nobody looks good in a pork pie hat.
Yeah. He's like, I'm in a ska band. Like he just looks like absolute dog shit in the thing. And then it's so funny when people, it's missing the point when people, Scarface eyes.
Yeah.
Walter White. Anyway, put up a poster of Walter White. But like when people evoke the hat and the sunglasses and the mustache as looking like an absolute badass, it's so dorky. Like you absolutely look like the second trombone player in a local jazz band. Yeah. Like you do not look even like the main guy. Mom, you can't even be one of the specials. You're like one of the normals.
Mom, I want the Blues Brothers. We have Blues Brothers at home.
Is at home? It's so goddamn dorky. Fucking pork pie hats, man.
Oh man, before you left Twitter, one of my favorite tweets of yours was the ad that was targeted to you advertising pork pie hats, and there were three images. 2 of them were Walter.
Yeah, like everyone looks good in a pork pie hat. This is also where the blue meth comes in. This was an aesthetic choice. They wanted to set apart Walt's meth. So they decided, like, maybe this process makes it blue. As far as I can tell, that's not actually true. That's just what they did aesthetically.
I mean, life following fiction, after the popularity of the show, people started dyeing their meth blue when they sold it because that was a marker of quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if I ever do meth, I'm going to make sure it's blue. I probably won't.
Nope.
If I was choosing one drug to do before I died.
Not going to be that one.
It's not gonna be that one again. I've brought it up before, but the description when Jesse, like at his lowest point in the series, when he's trying to trade meth for something at a convenience store, and he describes he's trying to sell it to her. He says it's white hot action knives in your arms.
Nope.
I know exactly what that means, but that's the worst feeling in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that for anything.
I live to avoid that, like I live to avoid throwing up.
Yep, white hot action knives. Ooh.
So,
what am I, Jax? No.
Let's get into it. We get a cold open at a PTA meeting. The DEA and the local police are there giving a presentation to the assembled parents and teachers in front of this big meth equals death poster.
Yes, because they rhyme. And the parents are still going on about the janitor.
Yes.
How he got hired and stuff. Again, very quaint. Mm-hmm. You know, this guy smokes pot in his spare time. How is he corrupting our children? I'm not saying there aren't people like that. I'm not even saying there aren't people like that in New Mexico. Mm-hmm. But it's just, it's quaint.
Yes.
You know? Walter is kind of ignoring this and starts trying to shadow finger Skylar. He starts trying to shadow her hedgehog. Under the table.
Jesus Christ, Gary.
Chili dogs. Doing some thigh rubbing and kind of sideways kind of maybe labia scraping.
It's just he's working his way up there. He's got a destination in mind.
He's getting there. He's following X marks the spot, you know.
Yeah.
He's going there. And she at first is very resistant to this and then she's like, okay, I guess we're doing this, you know.
Yeah,
I'm into this.
And like, so the audio of the people talking gets kind of muted at this, but the parents like saying, we need drug sniffing dogs.
We need guns.
Just like
we need officers.
Describing turning the school into a police state.
I need my kid to get shot on accident, or I will not feel safe.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. As Walt starts checking the oil. Then the Carmen, the principal, interrupts, asks, thanks Walt for coming in on his sick leave. But also says, okay, can you give a description of the stuff that was taken? And so he starts listing off all the glassware and stuff and the respirators and things as the video cuts over to Walt and Skylar just out there getting mad ruddy in the car.
Yeah. Car sex, which is hard.
Yes.
It's always shown on TV and stuff. And I like how they do make it awkward here. Like Skylar's head is like craned, there's not a lot of room to have car sex.
Here's the thing though. They're in a Pontiac Aztek, a famously roomy car.
It's very roomy. Like if you have to have sex in a car, this is a good car for it. Or I guess like a bus or a battle van, like a turtle battle van would be a good car for it. But the Technodrome would probably be a good car for sex. But a bed is better. Beds just own for many purposes.
They're great. Yeah. If I had my way, I would never leave them. And then I would get bed sores and then I would get real sick.
And then be at peace.
Yep.
Skylar, they finish. And Skylar says, where did that come from? And why was it so good?
And Walt says, because it was illegal. And this is, this gets to one of my complaints about this episode. It is very funny. There's some real dorkiness to the character beats. Yeah.
Again, that first time writer stuff. It's also really interesting. One of the things that I think happened between season 1 and 2 is the first season is focused on Walt as a sexual being. Mm-hmm. A lot more than later seasons, like between stuff like this, him, jerking off to see if he could still do it. The weird, like kind of subplot with him thinking the principal is hot and stuff. And then the second season, he's further along on his transformation. And when they use sex, it is for terror and character development. It's a power thing for him. It's no longer about any kind of, what healthy sex is about, and for me, that is good because I don't really care about Walt that much as a sexual being. Right. It's important. It can be part of his character, but like, it's not why I'm here.
Yes.
I'm really, again, we talked about last episode where you're talking about how glad we were they cut that masturbation.
Yes.
Or the episode before last or whenever that was scene.
Yeah.
We cut over Jesse's basement, which is empty. we keep showing that pole. Every time they show the basement, they show the pole, which is great.
Mhm.
And when a realtor comes down to show some buyers to see it, showing us that Jesse's selling his house.
Mm-hmm. They go up to the first floor and they point at the ceiling where Emilio flooded through. Like, hey, what happened? And the realtor just changes gear like realtors in media always do. Bit of a fixer, but this house has great bones. Anytime I've gone to see a house, every realtor was completely real, like not hiding stuff like this. They weren't doing the Marge Simpson. It's cozy or it's rustic.
There's the truth and the truth.
Every realtor was like, oh yeah, this foundation shit. You don't want to buy this house.
This is not grounds for not buying a house that like a tub fell through. That kind of shit happens in old houses. Like this is portrayed as like, can't do this kind of house. This is old houses. Like I still think I'd buy the house if I didn't know that somebody was sluiced in it.
Right. They patch it up. Like Jesse could have done a better job, but it's it
is a fixer-upper, but it's probably reflected in the price. Walt shows up and it's open houses, or it's not an open house, it's by appointment only, foreshadowing later. So he's there to see the owner. The realtor says he's staying in the recreational vehicle, which Jesse is recovering in. He's sleeping in.
Yeah, no, he's there. His abdomen is all wrapped up. He's got a bandage around him, and Walt's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I was like, "Oh yes, this place is definitely haunted. We turned a guy into raspberry
Two
slushy.
guys into raspberry slushies. I can't sleep here."
Mm-hmm.
And this is when Walt reveals, like, here's your money. I went back to Tuco. Mm-hmm. Here's your money, and here's something for your suffering. You earned it. And again, I believe that Walt is being genuine here.
Yes. Yeah.
And Jesse doesn't believe it. Like, you went back to that psychopath. Walt, at this point, to him, this is, we still need to do this no matter what. It's not negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse is impressed at first that he went back to Tuco, but then is like, why the fuck would you go back to that guy?
Yeah.
Like, he is still first and foremost a person.
Mm-hmm.
That guy beat the shit out of me. That's bad. I don't want to work with that guy. He's a psychopath.
Yeah, this is just bad. It is better not to do this than to do it if it means working with him.
Yeah.
And, this is going against their agreement, right? They said, Jesse's the business guy, and Walt made this commitment, made this deal without consulting Jesse. Like, they're supposed to be partners, and Walt has, leapfrogged him, right?
Yep. Yeah, no good. And he was in the hospital, at the time. So, but it's still a bad move.
Yeah.
And Walt says, yeah, we have him. We actually have to do 2 pounds. Like, imagine that every week.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse again is being more experienced in this. He's like, that's all well and good, but we can't do that. It's impossible. Like, how are we supposed to get enough pseudo?
Mm-hmm.
It takes me a week to get this much. I have to drive 2 hours out to Las Cruces.
No, not 2 hours. 200 miles both ways.
Oh, 200 miles both ways to Las Cruces.
Yeah.
For my Smurfs.
Yeah. He says there aren't enough Smurfs in the world for that.
Yeah. the which is an old philosophical question, how many Smurfs can fit on the head of a pin.
The size of a Smurf has always been relatively inconsistent.
It's 3 apples.
Okay.
It's canonical. They're 3 apples tall.
Okay. You had that you were ready to draw that right away.
I just happen to know how big a Smurf is. It takes up a lot of my working RAM.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I will not go near that third rail anymore.
No, it's the ultimate third rail.
Yeah. So this is a problem. They've got no way to make the meth that they have promised, but they're going to continue. But however, Walt's treatment marches on. Walt and Skylar at the oncologist, checking in like, hey, how are you feeling? Do we need to adjust the treatments or whatever? And Skylar, remembering the parking lot sex they had, brings up Walt's increased friskiness. He's like, oh, his energy is up, his color's better. He's just kind of avoids saying it at first. And, this is, this is funny, but also she wants this to be good news. She wants this to be a sign that the chemo is working, that this is remission. but in reality,
we've tuned the anti-emetics.
Yeah.
I love Hitman teaching me the word emetic. But yeah, it just means we've tuned it right.
Yeah.
Like he's not wanting to puke his guts out all the time.
Right.
So of course he feels better. She at this point is desperate, and she's like, what about like Eastern medicine, traditional healing and stuff? And he basically is just like, well, you could do it. I'm not going to stop you as long as it doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah.
Basically saying it's psychosomatic.
Yes.
There.
Which is not nothing, but she wants it to be, we're going to give it a 1-2 punch. Right.
Yep. Yeah. And the oncologist is being realistic.
Yeah.
We have to manage our expectations, do it if you want. And Walt is also very skeptical about it. This is going to come up later.
Yes. Yeah. So Walt and Jesse, it's been a week. It's been enough time. They've done their cook, and they are going to make the another sale to Tuco. Walt was in charge of setting up the meeting, and I love this. Jesse says, like, this is the non-drug dealer's idea of how a drug deal goes down.
Yeah, this is where now non-criminals think that crime happens. Like you saw this on TV.
Yeah, they're in a junkyard.
And Walt's like, "What's wrong with it? It's private. Where do you do your deals?" Like, I don't know, Taco Cabeza, the mall. Nobody gets killed at a mall,
Nobody shoots anybody at a Taco Cabeza.
Yeah, this was before people were constantly being shot at malls.
Yes.
By the way, the Walt puts on his sunglasses and his pork pie. Trivia about the pork pie: this was born a necessity because his head was shaved. While Bryan Cranston's head kept getting sunburned.
Oh,
so that is why the character has a hat.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And it became this iconic look for dorks. People think they're badass if they look like this, crime loser.
Yeah. Isn't every crime loser a loser?
A lot of times.
Yeah. Crimes make, yeah. Just for the kids who are listening, for the adults, crime rules.
Yeah. I mean, the trick is crime rules if it's like subtle crime.
Yes.
This kind of crime doesn't rule.
No. This has victims.
Yeah, tons of victims. Nothing but victims.
Yeah. So Jesse starts panicking. He's trying to, he puts on his shades, trying to keep composed. But as Tuco and his boys roll up, he loses his composure. It just stills himself, but he just does not. And he thinks he's going to die.
Yeah, and he was going to. I love Tuco being like, why are we out here? Would the malls close or something? Mall close or something? That's great. And they produce their meth, and it's only about half a pound, 0.53 pounds. Mm-hmm. They had said 2 pounds, and they had strong-armed Tuco into taking it.
Yeah.
And Tuco is like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah. You're doing business like a couple little bitches, and you do not want to be little bitches in Tuco's eyes.
Yeah, you do not want to owe me money.
Right.
Like that is not good.
Right.
He's about to leave, and Walt, the strategy that's worked for Walt so far, like Walt is all about something working and him assuming, like learning the wrong lessons from it.
Yeah.
So his lesson that he's learned is I have to stand up to Tuco. Yeah. Like this guy only respects strength. I need to really hardball this guy. And it does work up until he gets kidnapped pretty soon. But he's like, no, give us the full amount. Mm-hmm. We need it considered a capital investment. Like we need this to make the meth. You like our product. You want the meth. Give us this so it doesn't shut off. Mm-hmm. And Tuco gets really up in his face and says like, I'll do it. And he starts doing business with them.
Yeah. Says, all right, you're going to get, the full 2 pounds. You're going to need 2 pounds next week. And it's going to be 25 points VIG. And Walt needs VIG explained to him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I if I was in Walt's situation, I didn't know what VIG was until the show, until I started watching crime TV.
Oh yeah.
I'm not in the VIG world. It's interest for crime.
Yeah.
So Walt then, he's going to do 2 pounds, and Walt says, can you take 4 pounds? Again, he knows that he has to have this posture. Like this is all about having a big swinging dong.
Yeah.
Here. And Tuco like laughs and is like, you better fucking have it though. Like, it's like what is the thing that happened on Something Awful where people would dare themselves to get banned?
Tox clause. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It was that kind of thing, and Tuco leaves and Jesse's just like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
what did you just do?
Are you trying to get me killed?
A reasonable question. Yeah. So they're back at Jesse's place, trying to figure this out. Like they're worked into a corner. Jesse's, so Jesse thinks. But Walt, again, he knows what he's doing here. He says, "Hey, 4 pounds is not impossible. We will just have to do a P2P cook." I didn't write this down. It's just a process using a different precursor than Sudafed, right?
Yeah.
And he writes down this list as a shopping list of things that Jesse needs to go get, so they can do this. And Jesse is just not equipped for it. He reads 235 M&M tube furnaces.
Yeah,
that's millimeter.
Yeah, a 71 would be fine. It'd be very hard to get. This is where some of the character beat stuff is a little bit awkward in this episode.
Yeah,
this is just chemistry stuff. There's really no reason for Walt not to. It seems like Walt would better know how to get this stuff.
He would know the suppliers. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe he doesn't want it in his name, but you just use cash.
Yeah.
I do not know why he's giving Jesse this absolutely critical job that they'll both die if they don't do that he'd be better at doing.
Right.
It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. But he's really pot committed to this. Well, they're all pot committed, but Jesse's like, no, I'm out. Like I thought millimeter was M&Ms.
I'm moving to Oregon.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce this shit. I love it. This, and boy, Jesse wishes he had done that. And he says, Walt gives him a pep talk. Yeah. Basically a very cliche pep talk.
Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Are you gonna live the rest of it like a coward who won't stand up to anybody? And Jesse gets cowed by this.
Yeah, it works. We cut over to the baby shower. We're in handheld cam mode that Junior is filming, with Marie being a psychopath during this. Just very, very gregarious. Like, you'll recognize me. I haven't aged a day. Your name is Esmeralda. Your baby Esmeralda. And Skylar's like, no, believe it or not, your name changed to Holly. Yeah. Maria's being a lot.
Yes.
In this, I like Maria as a character a lot. Mm-hmm. This made me want to be in a different room. Like when Hank is eventually like, can we get out of here? I was like, fuck yes, dude.
Yeah, please.
This sucks. We gotta go.
Yeah. I also like the continuing thread of Hank's of Hank's Shania Twain obsession.
He loves fucking Shania, dude.
Oh man,
it's like the Hearts Huckabees, like
because Skylar was like, and then we took your Aunt Marie to an insane asylum, and then Hank gets right up in the camera and says, yeah, and then I went and married Shania Twain.
Like, it's very good. Walt Jr. is just filming various breasts, like close-ups on breast, which like good for him, but again, it's a goofy scene.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense of this, it kind of makes sense as a little bit goofier real quick, given this is Peter Gould, because this is closer in the tone to Better Call Saul.
Yes.
Up until the end when it gets shockingly violent. And that was actually something I found out the editor did. To that, which we'll talk about when we get there.
Yeah.
But this originally was conceived as a lighter episode. Which makes sense for all these horn dog, things.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially with the bungling heist that they do.
Yeah, which is super goofy. Like it's fucking Keystone Cops. Like this would be a fun mid-season episode.
Yeah,
if it didn't have what happens in it.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a comedy scene until the camera goes over, that we're getting, messages from the family to Holly, like, hey, this is your baby shower. Then it gets over to Walt and it becomes very clear, like, you might not be around. You might not remember me. So let's make an I'm proud of you speech.
Yeah. It's very sad.
Yeah.
We cut over to gifts, opening gifts, and Skylar opens up a gift from Maria, which is a jewel encrusted tiara. They're assuming that baby Holly has played Sword Quest, Air Quest, Water Quest, and Earth Quest, and has to get some treasures. Let's give a baby fucking treasure.
The scepter's on layaway. That's going to be her third birthday.
Like, I love a baby scepter. So she gets a jewel encrusted tiara, and everyone reacts appropriately. To this, because this fucking sucks. We can't give a baby rubies,
She would know how to cast the spells. They use those as reagents.
She could barely memorize the needed command words.
can't even do a cantrip yet. Come on.
You don't have to give a baby treasure because you just give a baby like a Cheerio and they're like, fuck yes. Like, I've arrived.
Notoriously easy to impress, baby kind.
Yeah, keys. You don't need to give them the keys. They're not impressed by keys because they think they get to drive the car, Marie. You know? It's just the jingle jangle.
Yeah. So Skylar reluctantly accepts the gift, and then Hank's like, "Hey, do you have anything? Say, Walt, do you have anything stronger than beer?" And they go outside. This is where I would be at this party as well.
Yeah. I like this moment though because up until this point, you know, they're slowly Hank and Walt love each other. Mm-hmm. You know, they're a family and they're buddies.
Yeah.
Like Hank spends a lot of time emasculating Walt, but this is kind of if it switches from like more of a cartoon relationship to a more real one. Mm-hmm. With this earlier in the season, it was all just him being like, you know, you're not a real man, Walt. You know, just constantly like we're in a cartoon. And Walt would never want to hang out with him if that were the case, you know, but he's not always that way. Like Hank has to be kind of likable. Mm-hmm. And this is a real likable move. Like, hey, let's go grab a drink of whiskey away from the ladies at this baby shower. You know, this is not for us.
Right.
You know, there's a great bit of camaraderie here.
Yeah. And he pulls out some cigars and he chastises himself like, oh, I wasn't thinking, you know, and Walt says, can I have one of those? And it's like, like, really? Like, Hank, I've already got lung cancer.
Yeah.
Like,
what's going to happen?
You can only get so wet, you know?
Yeah. They're Cuban cigars. Mm-hmm. You know, and Walt brings up the line about what's legal and illegal and how that's arbitrary.
Yeah.
You know, talks about how, you know, this, what is the point? Alcohol is fine. These things are not fine. You know, who knows what'll be legal next year? Hank, who still thinks Walt's smoking pot, is like, you mean like pot? Mm-hmm. Walt goes, yeah, sure. Yeah. You know, like he doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, sure. And Hank immediately shuts this down. He does not buy this argument.
No.
You know, it's a cogent argument, and Hank is kind of right. Like it's a cogent argument up to a point. Mm-hmm. Right? Like there are degrees of harm. So therefore there can be degrees of availability. Mm-hmm. Treating it like an all or nothing thing is stupid.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. You know, and Hank's coming from a bad position at first here too, saying like, oh, you sound like the guy's down in lockup. Like, oh, this will be legal next year, man. When Willie Nelson's president, you know, he's got nothing but disdain for these people.
Hank's got
who are
awful
locked up
politics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do not look at Hank's voting record.
His next point's, you know, a little bit better, saying like, yeah, well, there's some things that are legal that shouldn't be. Like that's not the actual, like, legality is not, you know, necessarily the thing that defines whether or not people should have it, right? He says like, oh, you know, meth used to be sold over the counter, right?
Yeah.
You know, and Hank says, you know, thank God they came to their senses on that one, huh? And then Walt's like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's his payday. Yeah.
Walt knows he needs to do this big cook and get this equipment. So he's looking up alibis. He's on a website. They're looking at a sweat lodge and says like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. You know, Skylar's surprised because that doesn't sound very much like Walt, but he's playing the part.
Yes.
You know, Skylar brings up the tiara and says like, I can't believe Marie spent that much money on it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take it back. We need a diaper genie more than we need baby treasure.
True.
You know, and she's right. Mm-hmm. And they kiss. Like things are going good for them right now.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the kind of thing they're going to be trying to get back. This is what Walt wants all during season 2 and 3.
Yes. Yeah. And he's never going to get it back.
Nope.
Not really. Yeah.
No, last moment.
Yeah. And, you know, just it's very sweet, you know, like Walt is, I mean, okay, on its face, it's sweet. It's actually him lying to his wife.
Yeah.
But like,
if he were actually doing this, it would be sweet. Yeah. Like trying an alternative medicine thing because your spouse believes it, even if you don't, is a loving act.
Yes.
You know, it can't hurt. And maybe this will make them feel better.
Yeah. And he has this little saving face too, saying like, oh, you know, at the very least it'll be an experience, right? Yeah. Like that is precisely what I would say in that situation.
It's a great reason to do something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, on the surface, very sweet.
Yes.
Walt's over at Jesse's place where Jesse has gotten almost everything, including the 70 M&Ms that he required that are hard to get. They don't sell in packs of 70. You know, and he can't get the methylamine. he's like, I know some guys who can boost it for me, but they want 10 grand. Walt's like, why don't you just pay for it? And he's like, I'm almost out of money. Like, this took all my money. To do this.
It's just expensive. Yeah. Methylamine is the precursor that they're going to use, and is going to remain a kind of a fixture throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Like in the last season, there is
oceans of methylamine.
Yes. Yeah. But Walt's like, oh, well, did they tell you where they were going to get it from? It's like, oh yeah, there's this chemical supplier out near town. It's really heavily guarded though. They've got all the security. That's why it's so expensive, right?
Yeah, for the dudes to boost it. Walt then notices an Etch-a-Sketch like toy on a nearby shelf and says, why don't we just steal it ourselves?
Yeah.
He's got the Etch-a-Sketch and he goes inside. He starts pulling the powder out of several Etch-a-Sketches. Jesse's like, what is that stuff? He goes, thermite. And he goes into teacher mode. One of the things I really like is how Walt will default to that. If there's a younger person or somebody he can teach, he does it.
Yes.
It's a really cool character tick, well-observed character tick.
And says like, oh yeah, thermite, it's this powder, right? There's the Germans had this gun they called the Gustav gun, gigantic cannon that could shoot like 200 miles accurately. You could bomb it from above
20
all day.
Mercuries.
What's that?
20 miles accurately. 20
yes.
like 200 miles accurately is significantly scarier.
Yes, you're right.
Wowie zowie.
They were working on that one that could hypothetically hit Britain. 20 miles. There we go. You could bomb it from above all day long. It wouldn't, hurt it, but you send one guy in with just a little bit of this and you render it inoperable. And then he throws the bag of thermite at Jesse. He's like, Jesus.
Yeah. I love, this is a sweet, to me, superhero science. Walt.
Yes.
And I like Jesse getting into it. Like the teacher-student relationship between Walt and Jesse, I find very endearing. And he's like, yeah, Mr. White, science, like just being into it. He's, in a weird way, he is doing what a good science teacher does, which is show practical applications for scientific things to appeal that is for the audience. Like when teachers fail and when school fails, that is why they fail. It is a big reason why like advanced algebra never worked for me, because no teacher would ever explain how I'd use it outside of an engineering context.
Right.
And I was just like, I don't want to be an engineer. That doesn't sound cool to me. Like, I'm not going to do that. If they had spent time explaining that, and the math that I do retain that I learned are things that I use. Yeah. They apply. Like, I like being able to figure out a tip quickly.
Yeah.
That's great. That's useful. That is how this should have been sold to me. It's not what I should have learned. And there's value in just knowing, but that's a hard thing to explain to a student.
Right.
That's something you have to philosophically be on board with first. You can't just assume that's true and then teach as if it's true.
Right.
That shit sucks.
You need to start, in a way that like fits in with a person's like self-concept of the story. Like, oh yes, I'm going to be a person who goes to restaurants. It's very important to know how to do percentages quickly. Right. Yeah. So like, here's the trick so you can impress your friends or whatever. Here's the principle behind that. And then here's the next thing it lets you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is how you cultivate an interest.
Yeah.
And this is Walt being a good teacher.
Yeah.
It's neat. It's neat to see.
Yeah, just like, okay, I taught you. I rattled off all the stuff about a P2P cook. Jesse's eventually going to get it. He's going to become as good as Walt at this. But like, okay, so in order to do that, like okay, that's step one. But there's an intermediate step. We need to do this, which is also going to involve this chemistry. Here you go. And that's the other way that you get a kid to like science, which is to involve flames or explosions. I'm saying that, but like.
The story, right?
Yes.
Like if you're going to teach somebody about thermite, you don't want to teach them about the chemistry of thermite. You want to tell them stories about a commando taking out a super tank.
Yeah.
Which is ultimate. Like that's not a non sequitur. That is science. Most science is to do weapons and war. Yep. That's what science is, but sell it in a cool way. There's nothing wrong. Like you're not, betraying your purity by doing a little razzle dazzle. If the razzle dazzle is real.
Yeah.
Let the science be cool.
The day in chemistry class that everybody remembers is the day when your teacher, ran different stuff over the Bunsen burner. And like, oh yes, if you put copper in here, it's blue. And if you, X, Y, and Z, and then here's magnesium. And it's so bright you can't look at it. Right.
Yeah. Our teacher who put peeps in a vacuum chamber and then let us eat them. So like, not only could we then, see it and understand what was happening, but then we're like, we could taste what this means, having all the air sucked out of this,
Love it.
Yeah. Good teachers are rare.
Yes.
We cut over to the plot that everyone's been waiting for. Now, if you've been waiting since the beginning of the show for this, we're sorry it took so long, but we think it's all going to be worth it.
Yep. Sometimes you have to dangle, you've got to, you got to draw people in, and we can't do that anymore. We've got to deliver the goods, which is the reveal that this baby treasure that Marie got, she didn't necessarily acquire it honestly.
No. So when Skylar goes to return it, the store owner is being very suspicious, calls over a security guard, calling the cops because she doesn't have her receipt. It was stolen, as I'm sure you know. He plans to press charges. Mm-hmm. She says she got it as a gift, and he asks, like, who gave it to you? And she won't tell because that'd be ratting out her sister.
Yeah.
The owner is not being a good guy here at all because he's willing to lie. Yeah. He's like, I'm willing to have my clerk tell the police that a tall blonde woman walked out with this. Mm-hmm. Not the case. No. Maria is neither tall nor blonde.
Right. Yeah. And then Skylar turns it around on him. She's been taken back to the office. He's like, oh, well, if you do that, I'm going to go to the media and talk about how you illegally detained a pregnant woman in this dank storeroom. He's like, this is my office. He's so indignant about it.
It's very funny.
Yeah, this is a wonderful Skylar scene. Like it's totally wrapped up in the a terrible plot line, but like Skylar showing her chops at manipulating a situation and lying. So she's like, okay, this will go pretty big. She says, oh, I'm not getting enough air, and then she puts her Lamaze classes to use and starts faking labor.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a really early Skylar playing the game.
Yeah,
right. Like we're going to Skylar's going to get in on it. It's not what she wants, but she's capable of doing it. Like she gets the way that Walt has this corruption wave and makes people around him worse. He makes Skylar worse.
Yes.
And this is showing her capacity for that.
Yeah.
She can also lie and manipulate in order to do that, in order to do what needs to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very good. Also very good is this heist. It is nighttime, and Walt and Jesse are outside the fence watching the movements of the security guards.
Yeah, doing this thing. Walt pulls out his hat, his balaclava, and they have these little beanies on them, little pom-poms.
Pom-poms on them.
Yeah. Very cute. They had to custom make those, which is real weird, but they custom made those.
Huh.
Jesse's like, what the hell is this? He's like, it's all they had. Well, that's all I had. You go to a different store. You're at the wrong place. We look like fucking dorks. One of the absolute silliest things that happens in this whole show that I forgot about is waiting for the guard to take a shit and then wrapping bungee cords around his porta potty. Some fucking jackass stuff. Like they're doing. I totally forgot about this, and it works.
Oh, it works great.
Just absolutely, just very, very funny. It works. They use the thermite, to knock the door off, but the alarm goes off. They cannot find the gallon jug, so they have to steal a 55-gallon drum of this stuff. It's incredibly heavy as they shuffle it out like dopes.
I love when this comes back in season 2 when Hank is watching the security camera footage.
Who are these guys?
You can roll, you dumbasses. Roll
it. And then later they're rolling the drums of money. He learns it. He rolls the drum of money across the desert. Good show. Do a lot of call forwards and callbacks. This, but incredibly silly thing they did to a Paul Blart in this.
Oh man, it's such a good scene.
Yeah. God, this episode's goofy. I always remember the ending, which is like not goofy at all. But yeah. So the next morning, they can't get the RV to start. So they can't cook in the desert like they want to. The engine's shot.
Yeah.
So they go and they bounce it down the stairs. They cook in the basement. This is going to come back in a real fun way in season 2.
Yeah. What part of slow it down didn't you understand?
It's heavy. Jesse tries to call the real estate agent to keep her away, but she's putting up signs because she's setting up an open house.
So goofy. Yeah. It's like it's Three's Company thing.
It's super fucking Stooges. They're going to make 4.5 pounds. They have enough methylamine for the foreseeable. Just do this forever.
Yeah. And Jesse's like, so what's the foreseeable? Trying to tactfully ask, like, timeline.
When are you going to die? Yeah. And he doesn't really answer. And he's like, how much do we need? And he goes, more.
Yes.
Like it's going to take a lot more than this. And the open house starts. It's super fucking goofy. A woman upstairs notices the smell. I've never smelled meth. I've smelled crack. Doesn't smell good. Nope. But I've never smelled meth. Apparently it smells like cat piss.
That's what Jesse says in season 5 when they're doing when they're looking for a new place to cook and they go to the tortilla factory. And like, no, people are going to notice that their tortillas smell like cat piss.
Yeah. So. Classic smell you want when you're looking at a house.
Yes.
Cat piss. Like,
oh gosh. So yeah, woman notices the smell. I love that realtor just looking around for anybody, see if anybody's looking, and then just spraying the air freshener.
Mm-hmm. The little girl like opening the basement and then Walt being there and giving her the shh motion. It's so fucking silly. A guy wants to look in the basement. Jesse eventually kicks him out. You're gonna do it. He kicks everyone out. You can see in the basement, it's not for sale. Everybody get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Basically like, which he could have done. He just could have gone up and talked to the realtor and done the same thing, but did not.
Yeah.
We got to go back to the action though.
Yeah, the main story here is Marie and her relationship with the law. She's at this boutique, obviously scoping out some earrings that she's gonna steal, right?
Yeah.
And Skylar sneaks up to confront her, saying like, "Hey, you can't duck me forever." And Marie's playing dumb. She is saying like, "Oh, like I wasn't running away from you. I was going to lunch and I didn't see you there."
I love this performance from Betsy Brandt because she's not. Like she's playing dumb. That's what's happening, but she's not playing at anything. Like this is what this reminds me the most of. And this is a weird poll because it's about something more serious than shoplifting, but the movie Magnolia, where Reichskub, when she's talking to her dad and asking her dad, like, do you remember? Like, you molested me basically. And he keeps saying, I don't remember.
Yeah.
That feels like a reflexive thing that you believe in the moment.
Yes, it's a compulsive liar thing.
Yeah, like it's not even, you don't even know you're lying. Yeah. It's like it's just, and that's what Maria is doing here. Like Skylar is like, stop denying it, and she's like, I can't deny if I don't know what you're talking about. Just basically, how can I make my mouth move so this slides off me?
Well, I mean, and also like changing the subject. She's like, wait, you were going to return that gift that I got for you?
Yeah.
Like, putting the system on trial. Like, no, like Skylar almost falls for it, but sure, before she realizes, no, this is not about me.
It's not, it's the word for what's happening is it's a tactic, but it's not tactical.
Right.
Like it has a tactical effect, but it's a reflex that you do when confronted with, Marie doesn't think of herself as a shoplifter.
Right.
Like she doesn't conceive of herself that way. It doesn't fit her mind.
It's denial.
Picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's denial. Like it's really well observed.
Yeah.
About this. Skylar ends up just walking away, like incredibly hurt. This whole thing was very embarrassing for her. And she's not looking forward to the seasons upon seasons of consequences for it that she's going to have to live through. She's going to end up having an affair because of this. She's going to end up becoming a money launderer. She's going to commit tax fraud because of this. She's ultimately going to lose her job and have to become a dispatcher. She's going to start smoking again because of this.
Yeah.
This is going to absolutely lead her down bad choice road.
Yeah. Fucking Marie.
Yeah. God damn it, Marie.
So Walt gets home and Skylar's still processing this, and he collapses on the couch and Skylar's, sits next to him. And, in her mind, he was out at this, the sweat lodge, asks how it was, again, just, very cute spouse thing. Like, was it an experience,
Yeah.
But she notices he smells weird. Like, what's that smell? And he says, sacred Navajo herbs.
Subs. It's great. It's very funny. Walt asks Skylar what's wrong, and she tells him about Marie. And Skylar at this point, what's funny is this is obviously huge news to Skylar, right? Like,
yes,
in any regular relationship, this would be a really big deal. But Walt, who has just been through this ridiculous day, can't give it appropriate attention.
Yeah.
So he's just like, yeah, sometimes people do stuff for their families. Like, everybody's like, yeah, sometimes it do be like that.
Yeah.
I ain't reading all that, but I'm sorry for you, or I'm happy for you. Like, too blasted.
Yeah. She's not. Skylar's not having any of it. It's like, that must have been some sweat lodge if that is your reaction to this.
Because people might do something for their family. And Walt pushes it. He's just like, well, what would you do if it was me? If I had done it, would you divorce me? Would you turn me in? And Skylar says, you don't want to find out, and kind of kisses him. That is a devastating thing to have the answer to be that. Like, if I were in this situation and my partner was like, you don't want to find out, I wouldn't be like, let's kiss. I'd be like, this is theft. You're not going to fucking turn me into the police over theft.
I mean, the way that she says it, though, it's a flirt thing, right? Like, she's trying to say, like, oh, you wouldn't find, I'd punish you for being a bad boy.
Oh, I don't know if I read it that way, because
she's getting so frisky about it.
She's super getting frisky, but I just assumed it was her. I saw truth in it.
Oh, okay.
Because she's uptight and believes that stealing is wrong. In a weirdly foundational way.
Yeah.
That I think I find Walt more compelling here. So she's definitely being flirty, but I also saw truth in it.
Yeah. I guess it's one of those things where the text is damning, but the subtext is fun. Like, it's delivered in such a way, but like what she's actually saying is that you do not want to find out. Like, the actual literal words of it are not something you would want to hear in this situation, knowing you have a much bigger secret in your closet than
even if it wasn't a
shoplifting.
bigger secret, even the same size secret, I wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
Open to interpretation. Like, it felt to me like both. Like, so.
Yeah. Worst crime. We've got the deal here, with the 4.5 pounds. They're back out at the junkyard. It's very funny that they came back, but also necessary for the way this pans out. Walt pulls out this gigantic bag. It's like one of those vacuum mattress bags.
Yeah. A freezer bag for a year's worth of chili. And Tuco is like, what's this blue shit? Jesse's like, it's maybe blue, but it's the bomb, yo. Tuco tries it and he's into it. We get another, just absolutely dorkiest lines in the world that Tuco can deliver. Similar to the kicks like a mule with its balls wrapped in duct tape.
Yeah.
Tight. And it's somehow good. He does this.
It's a good actor.
Yeah. They hand over the money, and Tuco's like, we're going to make tons of money. We have a great partnership. When is this Nodo's who does this? I thought it was the other guy.
Gonzo's the big guy. Nodo's the small guy.
Nodo's little. Nodo's is like, yeah, just remember who you're working for. One of my most irritating bits of Better Call Saul is they decided to give this an origin. I hate that so much. Like,
helping.
We'll get to that. Like, it's just so silly that they have to make it like, no, Nodo's kind of deserved it. Tuco warned him several years ago. Like, I know that's not literally what they're doing. It's just trying to be cute, but it's irritating.
Yeah.
But Tuco loses his mind because Tuco's on meth, and when he's on meth, he's scary.
Yes. So it's like, oh, are you saying that because you think they're stupid? Well, no, you must be saying that because you think I'm stupid.
Yeah, they know who they're working for. Don't talk for me. He's getting really up in his face, and Walter tells him to relax, and Tuco is doing the same thing Walter did.
Yes.
So Tuco, even though he's on meth and he's a rabid dog at this point, he's also like, I need to big time.
Yes.
And he doesn't push this over the edge until Walter steps in. To Tuco, this is a teachable moment, for Walter. Right? Like, Walter says, relax. He says, look, I'm relaxed, and then beats Nodo's to death. This is the thing that is in the edit. So this was originally shot in a way that did not look as brutal. Okay. But the editor made this look more brutal, so this would feel like a climax to the season. This has to be a little bit of a cliffhanger that Walt and Jesse are dealing with this guy.
A lot of it's in the sound. Yeah.
Because the situation doesn't change. They already knew he was capable of this, especially Jesse. Right? Yeah. They have to really do some trickery to make this feel impactful enough for a season finale.
Yeah. And we don't know that he's beaten Nodo's to death.
Yet.
Yeah,
not yet. I love the bit where Walt and Jesse start walking forward and Gonzo walks up and goes, you don't want to do that. Like, really, really well observed.
Yeah. Oh, man. And so, like, Tuco shows Walt his bloody knuckles again from beating this man, and then says, "Hey, I'll see you next week," as Gonzo dragged Snowdoze back to the car.
Yep. And this is going to have consequences again in season 2, which we're going to get to. We show Walt and Jesse. They're both shocked. And they start playing one of the, a good song, which is rare for the show, a Gnarls Barkley song, "Who's Gonna Save My Soul." I forgot about last week, which they had a good TV on the radio song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a 10,000 Maniacs song playing during the baby shower, which is one of the weirdest things.
I can imagine Skylar liking 10,000 Maniacs.
Yeah. It's not a bad band. It's just not the band that I would expect.
Yeah, 10km is what I like to call them. Oh, 10km. And that's the end of the season. Weird end for the season, but it was unplanned, so I'll give it a lot of grace. Next season is also weird. It's the season with the plane subplot, but I think it's more successful in general by a lot.
Yes. And we'll have more season wrap-up stuff next episode when we're going to read your responses and then also talk about the DVD special features and stuff.
Yeah, deleted and extended scenes. Yeah. So if you have things to say about the first season of Breaking Bad specifically, this is the disclaimer we had for Orb as well. We're not looking for a review of the whole show.
Yes.
We are looking for things about the first season. Please send us a message at Duckfeed.tv/contact.
Yes, go there, click the button. We're going to have made an announcement about this beforehand. This episode comes out on New Year's Eve. You've got a little bit of time. You got a few days, January 3rd or so, with your responses. We will have announced a call for responses beforehand too on Twitter and Slack and stuff.
Yep. Yeah. We'd appreciate it if you write in. If you like the show, join us at patreon.com/DuckFeed.tv. You can also leave ratings, reviews on Apple Podcasts or Podcast Addict.
Yeah. And you can support us by going to patreon.com/DuckFeed.tv.
Yep, I did say.
Oh, you did? Cool.
Yep. Sorry. It's been the end of a long week. We're ready for a long winter's nap.
It's the end of a long week, and we also, right at the end there, had a little recording glitch where we were gone for a couple of minutes. So
yes. So it broke our stride, so to speak.
Yep. But no, this is the end of a long week. This is my last recording session for 2022. You've got your last one later. Thank you for a great year. This the show launch here has been really good. And very happy to be here and looking forward to coming back next year.
Fun to do it. Netflix keeps sending me very quaint emails that are like, "Keep watching Breaking Bad. Find out what happens next." And I'm like, I will.
Sure.
Thanks, email. What should they do until next time, Cole?
Until next time, while you are making room for your for your gifts and stuff,
Christmas pud,
for your Christmas pudding and stuff, but try not to throw away any filters for Hoover Max Extract Pressure Pro 60s if you can, because I would like one if you can get it for me.